How y'all doing? It's Shareef right here with WeBuyBlack. It's been a while since I, really been on camera. But considering the times and considering everything that's going on, I wanted to make sure that, that I said something, and I think that's right. I think that it's right that I actually get out and say something. I made a vow to myself that I would stay quiet and work diligently, on moving our community forward. So a lot of you all see a lot of our work that we're doing, but you have not seen me. So I wanted to take this time to really let you all in a bit on myself, who I am, what I'm about, where I'm from, what I am from, what I come from, and so that you could understand me more and then understand the work that I'm doing, the work that we're doing with WeBuyBlack and other initiatives. Now, considering what's happening today, that it shouldn't be taken as nothing light. In fact, but we should also be reminded that this is nothing new. It's nothing new. Not that it should be taken lightly, but to be reminded that it's nothing new. And with the platform that we operate, when this type of incidents happen, then there's a surge in people actually supporting the site. And many of you all know, like many of you all have been sharing it. Go buy on WeBuyBlack.com. Go shop on WeBuyBlack.com. And this time is the most that I ever seen people outside of our community, white people, Asian people, etc., shopping on the site. So sales have spiked tremendously. However, what I've come to notice is that the same thing with Trayvon Martin, the same thing with Mike Brown, Philandro Castile, and others, Sandra Bland, we would watch on a site, the sales go up, and then it would peak, and then it start to go back down. And, for me, it's always been a time in which I was always quiet during these times. At most, I put out a Twitter post or something. But I would be really reserved and really quiet because emotionally it was heavy for me. To watch my brother and watch my sisters die. It's recorded that they died. They were murdered. And it's recorded. And yet we still have to fight for people to hear us, for people to listen to us. And really, what's happening here is that the psychology that we're under, a spell that we're under is a similar spell in psychology that the white man is under too. That slavery did not only hurt and affect us, but it hurt and affected them as well. And what happened is that that these people, and I'm calling them the white man, but what's happening with them is that they have a pimp mentality. And what I mean by that is that they would abuse us, they would hurt us, and use us. And we would come to them as a people, and we may have seen videos like this, where you see the young sister pleading, please, love us, please accept us, kneel down. I could live with you, I could be with you, I could look like you, I could dress like you, I could have my hair like you, I could have a house like you. Kiss me, hold me, love me. Why don't you love me? And this is what the reaction that they're getting out of us. And for them is fuel when they get this reaction out of us. And we have to understand that this is a powerful psychology that our people are under. And the psychology that they have is that they will never answer you. It's a part of the psychology. They will never answer you. As long as they never answer you, then they always have you in their control. So we would look for them to say, we look for them to say why they don't love us. Why are they hurting us? Why are they killing us? That's what we're looking for from them. And what they've done successfully is taken that pain and that hurt and redirected it. They turned it to say, take all of that energy out. Like you probably saw in the video, the guy removed the guy that was getting ready to take the knee and put another guy in place with a baton in his hand. So they removed themselves from that picture. Then they put the image of a white, blue-eyed, blonde-haired Jesus Christ there. They put that image there. And they say, now go and pour all of that energy into that Jesus Christ. So now for hundreds of years, we now look at that image and we say, oh, I love you. Oh, accept me. Oh, love me. You know, and that's the energy that we give that Jesus Christ. But this is the same image that is killing us on the street. And we wondering why these young brothers and young sisters don't have I would say the power really to do anything, to react. It's almost like they're numb. And this was a psychology during slavery. I want you to understand where this is coming from. That they would, that the white man, he would take you as a person, and you may have or may have not committed any type of crime. I mean, at those times, it wasn't even considered what you would call a crime. You may have just looked at him wrong. And he would strip you naked and then beat you. But before they kill you, they would have another white man to come and make a prayer over you, So you are dying at the hands and oppressed at the hands of one white man at the same exact time. In order for you to get in heaven, then you have to accept this prayer that's coming from the other white man. And this is exactly what we're dealing with today. That these events are not separated. They're not isolated. These things are all connected. And, you know, my family I come from a history in which these things were brought to my attention at a very young age. That my mother and my father sacrificed so much for me and for my family not to repeat these systems. And, you know, when I was 15 years old, when I was 13 years old, I had just turned 13, my mother and my father, you know, decided that they would send me and my brother and my sister to Atlanta, Georgia, to go to a boarding school down here. And a Muslim boarding school called Muhammad Schools of Atlanta. And, you know, this was the best option that they believed that they had. And I believe, too, that was the best option that we had at the time. And when they sent us to the school, that their hope was that we would come from this environment in D.C., a hostile environment at that time in D.C. And while we were in D.C., they had us in private schools all of our life. And they sacrificed literally their whole life for their own children. They sacrificed their life. You know, I remember my father when I was growing up, he would say things like, you know, you see that Cadillac there, or you see what they have there, or you see those things that they have. You know, we don't go after those things because we want to make sure that, you know, that we are paying tuition for you all to go to Muslim schools. So you all probably see your other friends, and you probably see other kids in the neighborhood, you know, having all of these things, but you all don't have them, so that you all can have this type of education. And, you know, as a young child, you hear those things, but it doesn't really register with you. You know, but I remember that when we moved down to Atlanta, when I was 13 years old, by the time I turned 16, I became really serious. And this is at the time I met my wife today. I met her when I was 15 and she was 14 years old. And I proposed to her when I was 16 and she was 15 years old. And then I got married to her when I was 17 and she had just turned 17. She was 16 and had just turned 17 years old. And so we've been married for 11 years. And we have 2 children. And we just had another baby April 1st, you know. And that child, my youngest daughter, was named after my mother, who just recently passed. You know, she just recently lost her life to cancer on December 25th of 2019. And I know I have been, you know, for a big part of the year, like many of you all haven't been seeing me, but at that time, I've been spending a lot more time with my family here in Atlanta, and then also traveling to DC to visit my mother at that time, who was very ill. And, you know, during those times, I recognized that, you know, that our people have sacrificed so much for us to stop now. That I don't want anybody to see what's going on in the world today and think that we're living in the worst of times. That, in fact, you know, sometimes things have to appear worse in order for these things to get better, and in order for things to get better. But I'm telling you that we are actually living in some of the best times right now. because what's happening right now is what has been promised to us by God himself. That's what's happening right now. And those who have knowledge, higher knowledge, they understand that. They understand that what's happening right now, that this is something that has been predicted, that God has already told us is going to happen. So don't feel alone. Don't feel like there's no help, that there's nobody present. God has not forsaken any of us. That we as a people have went through the greatest atrocity known in human history. And if we believe that God is just, then know that we're going to have the greatest ease and the greatest benefit known in human history. It's going to come to us. Whether we live to see it today or not, it's going to come to us. And we find people in our history like Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass, W.E.B. Du Bois, Marcus Garvey, Elijah Muhammad, Malcolm X, Imam Warfdi Muhammad. We see these people who've come to sacrifice their whole life to give us this message, sacrifice their whole existence to bring us this message to and help us. And they put their life on the line. All of them put their life on the line. At all times, they put their life on the line for our people. And when you study in history, I believe that we had some of the greatest leaders that were ever marked down in history. And I believe that we had the most in the short time that we've had, in the short time that we've had when coming to here on the shores of America. Look at the leaders that had came out of that experience. And there's nothing more that I can say. There's nothing more that we should look for people in our community to say that they have not already said. Study these leaders. Look at what they have offered. And know that leadership today is going to start with you. It's going to start with me. And it's going to start with us taking care of our own household, taking care of our own self and taking care of our own household. That if you're raising children and they believe right now, that they believe that when they see the picture of a blonde-haired image of Jesus Christ, or when they say the image of Jesus Christ, and we know what this, I mean, they got multiple images, but if we put that in front of our children, and our children today is telling us that that is Jesus Christ, and they also understand that they hear you say that Jesus Christ is your Lord and your Savior, but yet, and you connect that to him being a white man, then you're raising a child that will take rape, take abuse, take punishment. And at the same time, look for that same person to give them welfare, give them a check, to give them a job. This has been systematically placed on us as a people. And until we have leaders to step up and tell the truth about that, don't talk about Malcolm X. Don't talk about Malcolm X if you ain't ready to live your life like Malcolm X. Live your life like Malcolm X. Live your life like all the leaders that we talk about. Give your sacrifice like they sacrifice. Otherwise, don't mention their name. Don't put up tweets and memes of these people. We kill our own people. We're killing them. They die when we don't live the life that they told us that we should live. They die when we don't say the things that they told us that we should say, or we preserve their life when we live as they say that we should live. Can you imagine a world today taking what Dr. King said? Can you imagine them living out that, that we should not be judged on the color of our skin, but the content of our character? Imagine if the whole world who quote his name when his birthday come around, or they celebrate with, or have the anniversary when he was shot dead. Imagine if the whole world believed in that and applied that to their business, to their life, to their family. So many of you all have not seen me in this time because I've been trying to dedicate reforming my own family. That it starts there. The work has continued with all the work that we're doing with WeBuyBlack. We reached out to our community back in 2015 and asked our community to donate only $30,000. And we only had at that time 11,000 followers or so. We raised that money in 30 days and we started WeBuyBlack. And the promise that I gave to our people then, it's the promise that we already fulfilled. I said, I guarantee you, if we raise $30,000, I'm going to see that our people make over $1 million on this site. And we've done way more than that as a people. Even considering what's happening today, people all across the world are protesting in the form of buying black and supporting our community. But I'm asking us not to just do this on one day. Don't just do this we just have one day. We call it Blackout Day, whatever they calling it today. We got to be mindful of those who are infiltrating our community and know that we're not alone in this. Know that there's always an enemy working beside you. You be marching in the protest and your enemy's right there next to you. So be careful what you hear people say, and be careful what you just adopt. I'm talking now to the leaders in our community, not just to everybody. I'm talking to the leaders in our community now. Be careful. The rappers, the entertainers, that's over education and politics. Be careful who's in your ear telling you that we should have one day to not buy anything. They said one day to not buy anything, and that's what they put out first. Don't buy anything on this day. Who's that going to hurt? Who's that going to hurt? What change is that going to affect if you don't spend your money on one day? Most of our people smart enough to go and buy it the day before. Okay, what am I not going to buy? Okay, I'm not going to buy groceries. Okay, I'm not going to buy gas. Okay, I'm not going to buy clothing or whatever it may be. Okay, well, I tell you what, I'll just spend that money on July 6th. Or I skip a day and just spend it on July 8th. So we got to look at that those things don't affect nobody. They don't affect nobody. In fact, they sit back and laugh at us when we entertain things like that. So a lot of you all asked me to get out and make a statement because you didn't know where I was at. But at the same time, I'm home. I'm with my family. I'm with my children. I'm in my garden, and I needed a time to reflect and to think about what's happening in the world and to strategize for the betterment of our community. And that's exactly the work that I've been doing. WeBuyBlack has continued. We have continued with our work to improve the economic state of our community. And there are many people that are rising to the occasion. I applaud many of the young leaders that are taking to their social media accounts, that are creating organizations and hashtags to say buy black for 20 days, buy black for 30 days, buy black, period. But the We Buy Black movement is about buying black 365. That's the whole movement. Why buy black for 30 days? Why buy black for 1 day? Why don't we come behind a movement? And this is not just to push what we're doing, but let's be realistic. Why not come behind a movement that's saying push it 365 days? And that's what I support everybody who's doing any initiative. And I'm telling my team, this goes to my team. If you see them, anybody that's pushing these initiatives to buy black on these days, we still want to support that. We are in support of that. And we want to bring recognition to what they're doing. I love that. And at the same time, I also want to let you all know the work that our team is doing with We Buy Black, that movement is about changing the economic state of our community. And this is literally where I come from. This is my history. This is my background. Those that I sit in my garden with and we talk, these are people who were secretaries to Malcolm X. These were people who were bodyguards to Malcolm X. Some of them lost their family and friends protecting the leaders in our community. So this is not something that I talk about. This is something that I live every single day. I've been married to my wife for 11 years. We have 3 children. We just had another child. And I make sure that my wife never paid a bill a day in her life. Never had to. I'm talking about since we were 17 years old. Since we were 17 years old, she knew when she married me, I already had a bank account. She already knew I was saving for different things. And yeah, we went through our hard times. Like every marriage, we go up and go down. Things go up, things go down. She seen when We Buy Black was on the brink of closing 3 times, that I was going to have to let our whole staff know that we weren't going to be able to exist. And she seen it when God sent me direct signs and kept the business alive 3 times so that we could be in the state that we are now. So what am I asking for? I'm asking, I wanted to first clarify, my responsibility to you all, right? I wanted to clarify that responsibility is just that. It's our ability to respond. To respond to what? To respond to the call of God. So we know what we're supposed to be doing. We hear the cries from our community. We hear the people pleading. But this is the same plea that their grandfathers gave. This is the same plea that their great-great-great-grandfathers gave and great-grandmothers gave. It's the same plea. And I'm telling you today, God has not forsaken us, that our time is now. Our time is here. We can't stop now. We are as a community and in the work that we're doing, we have launched an initiative, and it's the New Africa Initiative. And many of you all have heard of this. You all thinking that we say you rebranding We Buy Black. What we're doing is that we're leading our people somewhere. I don't want to have to wear this shirt every day. I don't want to be in a situation where we have to say buy black every day. I got a son. He's 7 years old, growing up, and I don't want him to grow up thinking that he's only supposed to take care of his own community. I teach him that from a young age. I say, listen, son, when you get married and you have a family, don't think that you're supposed to take care of your family. I want you to make enough money where you going door to door in your neighborhood, figuring out how to take care of the people in your neighborhood. And then after that, I want you to look in the whole world and figure out how you can help people all over the world. Don't just look for how you're going to help yourself and help your family. I'm not raising a selfish child. And I'm not leading a selfish movement. That this right here, WeBuyBlack, it means to do for ourselves now, so that we can be in a position to help do for the whole world. But we will never be in a position to do for the whole world until we do for ourselves. In fact, we see a lot of our leaders look silly going across seas and speaking with all these representatives, but yet we don't have a damn thing in our own neighborhood. We don't even have a grocery store to feed our own community. We burn down a Target, burn down a Walmart, loot these places, and then we don't even have a place to go and eat. We don't even have a place to go and eat. We don't even have a place to go and get our clothing. So I'm not frustrated. I'm not going to say I'm frustrated. I'm not angry. But it's urgent that we communicate this message to our community that I have personally taken up the responsibility that my father took up when he joined the Nation of Islam in 1972 under the leadership of Elijah Muhammad. He was 16 years old. He already had 2 children at the age of 16. And he became a top soldier in the Nation of Islam when he was just a young child. And I got married when I was 17. I watched my father and watched my mother who recently passed. I watched them dedicate their life to this movement and to our community. So I have there's no other life for me. There's nowhere else for me to go. I live this, I breathe this. This is me. I can't separate my life, my religion from the movement. My life and my religion is a part of the movement. It's how I eat, it's how I talk, it's how I communicate, it's how I deal with my wife, it's how I deal with my children, it's how I deal with this movement, it's how I run my business. My team will tell you that I try to exemplify the best that is presented to me. And if I'm ever in a situation that I deviate from that, I ask my whole community to take me down, to ensure if they ever put me under anything, take me down. The movement must continue. It has to continue. So this is a call to action for us to establish New Africa. And New Africa is the physical manifestation of our community's collective desire, collective urge to do for ourselves so that we can be in position to help do for the whole world. That's what it is. And what that means is that we want to put it in our people's mind that we need to have our own hospitals, our own grocery stores, our own restaurants, our own theaters, our own schools, our own banks, our own insurance company. We need to have all of this coming from our own people. That anytime you see a people that is in Africa or in America, picking our children up, raising them up, holding them up, leading the movement, anytime you see a people that is not of us doing that, we should replace them and tell them, excuse me, I got it. We should, if those images are going up on our social media accounts, move those, delete those images and put images of your own self. Black man and black woman, put images of your own self taking care of your own children, loving your wife, loving your family, loving your community. Put those images up. And this is New Africa. This is what we're developing. We have established New Africa August. And New Africa August is a month in which we would dedicate to the advancement of our people and the future of our community. We have Black History Month that many of us raise complaints about Black History Month. So what we decided to do was be proactive and say, well, let's give ourselves another month and let's continue to grow with other months. But what we have is New Africa August. And in August, which is also known as Black Business Month, we will do, we would have this year, because of COVID-19, we will have this year a 31-day webinar series all for free for our whole community. That I'm calling on some of my best friends who are leaders in many different areas across the United States and in the world globally, who have done extraordinary things. That I'm asking them to dedicate an hour to 2 hours to give free information to our community. Information that's going to help us establish New Africa. That I want, if you come on here and talk, then talk about how we're going to establish New Africa, the future of our community. Let's talk about that and give tangible directions that people can follow and people can do something today. What can we do today to make sure that this come about? that Black Wall Street is not a national aspiration. It's a street. It's a local aspiration that we embrace, that we understand that it's a part of our history. But New Africa is us being able to embrace the full vision of us seeing America as our home. Our parents and our grandparents, etc., built this country, died for this country, to the establishment of this country. So we ain't going no damn way. We're going to be here, and this is going to be our inheritance. It's going to be our inheritance. And when we come into position, we have to be in a position in which we help all people. That is going to be our greatest test. Is that when we are raised in position to help and raised in position of leadership, then we cannot do it just for ourselves. Then we have to be in a position where we look out for the best interest of all people. And that's our greatest superpower, is our mercy. It's not a curse. It's a blessing. And it's a blessing that will be actualized when we take leadership and when we are in position to help the whole world. And I believe that because of the conditions that we've been faced as a community, there will be no other people that we will allow to go under those conditions. We won't allow for that to happen. We understand those conditions. We live those conditions, a part of our history. Nobody has ever went through those conditions in human history. And if you're a religious person, not even the people of Moses went through that situation. Not to the extent that we went through. At least they knew that there was going to be somebody that was coming after them. We didn't have no vision of who was coming after us. Nobody was coming after us. We didn't know who was coming after us. But I'm here to tell you that God has not forsaken us. He has given us a mission. He is with us. He is present at all times. And anytime that we become doubtful, I want you to watch this message again and understand that I'm a testament to it. I'm a testament as your brother, that I love you. I want you to know that we're here, that we're working, and we have a mission that we are going to give our life to fulfilling. And there's nothing that's going to stop us. That even if it was 100 miles of snow stacked high as my head, if you gave me a spoon, damn it, I'm going to carve it all the way out just to get to that 100 miles. Because that's our mission. That's what our parents dedicated their life for. That's what they sacrificed their life for. And I'm asking us to do the same. Don't look for an organization to change everything that's going on. Know that it's going to change from you. And what I mean by that, not to sound cliche, it's going to start with you. Purify yourself. Purify yourself. Leaders in our community, purify yourself. Purity is what gives you strength. The reason why Malcolm X was strong is because he was a pure brother. The reason why, look at all the leaders in our community. They were morally upright people. You can't lead a movement and you are dancing wildly, showing off your chest, showing off your body, got your wife twerking on you, and you got all of this stuff going on. Your house is not right, your home is not right, your community is not right, your children are not right. So how can we lead a movement? We can hide that, but how can we lead this movement when we are not right? We have not purified ourselves. Purify yourself, cleanse yourself, and that's what's going to give us strength. Even when the president does something immoral, people who live an immoral life speak up against it and say that that's wrong. He cannot be our president. It's clocked in our nature that if anybody's to take up leadership for the betterment of the human beings and humankind, then they have to be a morally upright people. And I'm telling you, purify. Let's go. Let's purify ourselves. Those that want to take this day as a day in which you want to not post anything, that's a beautiful thing. And it's especially beautiful for people who haven't been doing anything for the movement so far. I think you should take a break. I think you should take a break and re-examine everything you've been doing so far. But those who have been actually in the cause working, continue the work that you've been doing. Continue to work. Never stop the work that you're doing. Understand that the devil is working every single day. Your enemy is working every single day. He would never take a break. So what makes you think that you should take a break? In fact, anybody telling you should take a break, you should ask them why. Question them. Why should we take a break? Why should we stop? Why should we slow down? The point of what they would try to do is try to kill your momentum. Now, I don't know who started that or anything that's going on right now. I don't know who's responsible for that. I'm asking us to just question. We know what we're supposed to do. We know who we're supposed to get behind. We see leaders in our community. Let's appreciate them. Let's work with them, and let's look at those who are working to purify themselves. And I'm telling you, we have some young, aspiring leaders out there that we are training here in Atlanta, that we're training nationally to pick up this charge and to dedicate their life to this movement as well. So I'll leave you with that. I want you to all understand that we're working, that the mission will never stop, and it won't stop until we have what we have. I look forward to the day when we don't have to say "We buy black." I look forward to that day because it will be in us. It will be clocked in us. It'll be here. It'll be a day when you don't have to announce it. It will be natural, just as it's natural for everybody else. It's coming. I'm telling you, it's coming. I want to, make a prayer, for our brother, George, and I want to make a prayer for all of those who have lost their life. Many of those who we just don't know. There's so many cases like George Floyd that we would never know about, ever. And in fact, I think it's happening every single day. It's happening. Cases just like him that we don't know. We don't know. I met mothers who had children that were shot over 70 times. They were shot. So there are cases that we just are not aware of. That these are things that are happening in our community. And I want to make a prayer. I want to ask God to bless them, to forgive them for any of their faults, to bless their families, to bless them to have the excellence in the hereafter, and to make their transition easy for them, and to bless those who have witnessed their murder and witnessed their death, to not let this go in vain, to charge them, to empower them, to be better humans, to purify themselves, and that if they are going to have to die, then we would die in a state of submission to you, God, that we would die in a state of a complete servitude to you, and that there's nothing, no human being, there's no entity, there's no organization that can stop us. And we ask God that you empower us to lead this movement, to take on the responsibility, and to strengthen our backs as we progress forward. I appreciate everybody. I don't know when the next time I get on camera again, but know that we are working, know that we are consistent, and know that the work will never stop. That the only time that the work will stop is when the work is complete. Thank you.